Calvin? He's on. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order at 5:15, I believe it is. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, thank you for joining us for the regular meeting for Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. As a reminder, anyone that's not fully vaccinated, we ask you to please wear a mask. And Ms. Kimball, would you please call the roll?
Of course. Mr. Castine?
Present.
Mr. Conroy?
Here.
Mr. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Henry?
Here.
Mr. Hughes?
Here.
Mr. Pretzer?
Here.
Mr. Perrier?
Here.
Mr. Potiker?
Here.
Mr. Timmons?
Here.
Ms. Waldron? Here.
All legislators have received a copy of the stenographer's minutes of the May 26, 2021 regular session. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I will entertain a motion for the minutes as presented. I have a motion by Legislator Hall, second by Legislator Timmons. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I will now recognize anyone in the audience who wishes to share their thoughts and concerns with the legislature. Please raise your hand if you wish to be recognized, state your name and address for the record, and in accordance with the rules of order, we will limit speakers to 5 minutes. Is there anyone that wishes to address the legislature at this time? Anyone at all? Seeing no one, we will move on. We'll now go to the committee reports. I will call on the chairperson of each committee in alphabetical order by committee, starting with Buildings and Grounds, Legislator Timmons.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Buildings and Grounds Committee has not met since the last regular session. The next Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 14th at 4:30 p.m.
Thank you. Children and Family Services, Legislator Potiker.
Yes, Chairman, the Children and Family Services Committee met on Monday, June 1st. John Redden, Commissioner of the Department of Social Services, was present to discuss the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, ERAP, and monthly statistics for April 2021. Resolutions 366 through 371 have been placed on the agenda as a result of the committee's recommendations. The next Children and Family Services Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, July 6th at 5:15 p.m. End of report.
Thank you. Economic Development and County Operations Committee, Legislator Walton.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Economic Development and County Operations Committee met earlier this afternoon. Glenn Cutter, the Planning Director, and Dave Randall, the Director of Information Technology, were present. Mr. Randall discussed the county's cybersecurity posture. Resolutions 372 through 375 have been placed on the agenda as a result of the committee's recommendation. Resolution 374 has been withdrawn. The next Economic Development and County Operations Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, July 14th at 4 p.m. End of report.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman,
Fine. Yes.
can I just ask an economic development question, or county office question? Is there any, or can you just give us the update of where we're at with the position of the head of the IDA and our economic developer?
At this time, there's no information.
But didn't we go through a process where some candidates went through and now we're getting close to somebody, or is there, or Kim, maybe you have an update? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I just haven't heard in a couple of weeks where it's at.
if there were interviews conducted by Mike and Trent Trahan, at this point, we did offer somebody the position and they have declined the position, so they're going through the applications still.
Do we have a reason that they declined?
They kept the position where they were. They didn't specifically say if it was monetary, but they wanted to keep the position where they were.
Okay, just so everyone's clear, Trent Trahan is the, I guess, kind of the head of the IDA.
Yes.
The former head of the IDA, representing the IDA, and Mike Zerlo is the head of the legislative office. How would you say it?
He's the
administrator, so he's representing the county in the hire, and Trent's representing the IDA. I had to do an update, I was just curious.
Okay.
Finance Committee, Legislator Timmons.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee met on Wednesday, June 2nd. William Cherry and Kyle Metcalf of 3+1 provided a presentation on Cash Vest. Kimberly Davis, the county treasurer, was also present to discuss sales tax, the annual report summary, the annual update of documents submitted, the correction of errors, and the Village of Rouse's Point error. The next Finance Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, July 7th at 5:15 p.m.
Thank you. Health Committee, Legislator Hughes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Health Committee met on Wednesday, June 2nd. Rochelle Gregory, the Director of Community Services, was present to discuss the workforce and the new Community Services Coordinator position. John Canoza, Director of Public Health, was present to discuss his April 2021 Director's Report, the May 2021 Health Department Report, and the Clinton County Multi-Agency Coordination Group. Mr. Canoza is actually present tonight to provide us a brief update on COVID-19 cases and vaccination. John?
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Henry. Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Quick update, COVID numbers. We are doing very well, numbers-wise. One new case yesterday, one new case on Monday, 0 on Sunday, 1 on Saturday, 0 on Friday of last week. So we are definitely trending in the right direction, staying pat with that, and we're very happy with that. Currently, we have 7 active cases in isolation right now. We are looking at vaccination clinics. To give you an update on that, we did a second dose clinic today at Northern Cakes on Military Turnpike. This Friday, the 11th, we're looking at doing a first dose pod at the Clinton County Jail for approximately 60 or more inmates there. And then next week, we come back to the schools, our first 3 schools, with dose 2 vaccination, Pfizer for them, for the kids, and any parents that did come to the dose 1 clinics at that time. So all things considered, we are looking very well, keeping everything moving forward with vaccinations, and the nice weather also bodes well for continued low numbers. So, any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for John? Go ahead.
John, I get a lot of questions asking me about out of the base. Have you heard anything about that vaccination site closing down, or?
Very good, I'm glad you asked that, that's good. No, Eric, last report, as of today, no, that clinic will be, as far as they know, at that site, and the representatives that run it, Mr. Buck Bobbins, Braille Phillips, they have received no word from the state, from the higher ups, that vaccination site is closing. And I'm glad, I wish to stay open as long as it possibly can. Just so you all know, there's also a vaccination site at SUNY Potsdam Maxey Hall Fieldhouse. They will be moving, they have switched over to J&J from the Pfizer. They will be moving out of that gym. They are downsizing to a FEMA trailer because they're only doing about 6 to 10 vaccinations a day.
So, anything else for the director? Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Legislator Hughes.
Resolutions 376 through 380 have been placed on the agenda upon the recommendation of the committee. The next health committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, July 7th at 4:30 p.m. End of report.
Thank you. Human Services Committee, Legislator Burdette.
Human Services Committee met on Tuesday, June 1st. Darlene Collins, the Director of Office for the Aging, Wendy Bishop, the Nursing Home Administrator, and Steve Bowman, the Director of Veteran Services Agency, were present. Ms. Bishop discussed nursing home visitation. The committee requested that the nursing home increase the visitation time, improve communications with family members, and look into providing more options for private visitations. Mr. Bowman discussed the Joint Veterans Advisory Committee recommendation for a new Veteran Service Director after his retirement. Resolutions 381 through 388 have been placed on the agenda upon the recommendation of the committee. The next Human Services Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, July 6th at 4:15. End of report.
Thank you very much. Personnel, I will do that. The Personnel Committee met on Monday, June 7th. Kim Kinblom, the Personnel Director, discussed the extension of the Clinton County telework policy and the Director of Veteran Services interview that Francis just covered. Resolutions number 408 through number 432 have been placed on the agenda as a result of the committee's recommendation under Waive Rule 13.2. The next Personnel Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, July 8th at 4 p.m. Plattsburgh International Airport, Legislature Hall.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Plattsburgh International Airport Committee has not met since its last regular session. Resolutions 389 through 390 were pulled and have been placed on the agenda upon the recommendation of the committee. The next Plattsburgh International Airport Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for June 22nd at 4 p.m. I'd also like to tell you that the project at the airport, our flight line is right on time. And our first flight is scheduled for the 23rd, and our manager will be on it. Chris Craig will be heading to Florida to talk to other airlines to get them to come to Plattsburgh, New York. End of report.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a
Yes,
question.
sir.
I want to back up, I was going to ask it before. I want to back up to your personnel committee. Maybe I should ask him. All of those items, all those backfills, are they to the point where we've got to do it tonight? And let me say this. We had a meeting the other night with people that are on personnel. It was because of the meeting that we were going to have after personnel for public safety, which most of us were on. It was pushed right fast, and we didn't get to ask questions. It wasn't the way it should have been. Personnel meeting. I walked out of there myself pretty frustrated. Are those backfills necessary to pass tonight, or can they wait till after the next personnel committee?
I mean, I think the departments presented those, because we only have a meeting once a month, that they, would like to post the job. They have to post it for 7 days, go through the interview process. But if you don't feel comfortable approving or putting these forth, I mean, it's completely in your hands if you want to push it.
I'm only one of the personnel committee, that's how I feel.
Yes, sir.
Kim, what would be your recommendation on
the resolutions that were put forth on Monday did come out of the committee. I think a lot of members of the legislature were at the personnel committee meeting. But again, if you don't feel comfortable voting on certain resolutions, you do have the ability to vote to push them.
I would, go ahead.
whether specifics or all of them, like specific positions or all of them?
A lot of them, we never really got to discuss it. I've already talked to the chairman about this. Putting personnel and public safety are two big meetings. They always are. Public safety is always a big meeting. And this happened to be bigger because we had people coming in for it, and we rushed through personnel, which we should have never done. I didn't get enough information on the backfills.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, I thought it went okay. We actually extended the meeting almost 45 minutes longer, so we squeezed everybody in. Everybody got to state their piece. So the meeting was actually almost 2 hours long. And I thought that would be an appropriate amount of time for the amount of backfills and such that we had on that agenda. I mean, I've been on the personnel committee too, and those 2 hours, that's about normally what it would take.
Yes, sir.
In agreement with Bobby Hall's position on this and opinion on this, I think there were several backfills that were discussed at personnel that need to be discussed much more. I would say even the majority of the backfills on the agenda. I would make a motion to wait on all of these that we can for another week or so to do a poll or something and have a meeting and talk about it more, because it was rushed. These are permanent full-time positions. We have 5 permanent full-time positions at the of corrections officers dating from, I don't know if people realize, but we just had bail reform, so the jail is half empty. So the last thing we should be doing is filling all of the backfills. Maybe we need 3 and not 5 COs. Just like at the health department, maybe we needed 2 and not 2.5 providers. This is important stuff. That meeting, to me, we talked about 20%, 30, maybe 50% as much as we needed to. So I would agree with Bobby and say, let's talk about some of these later, meaning let's do a poll, do an email, meet again, and within a week, be able to make a recommendation.
Can I just ask what the recommendation of,
Yes, go ahead, Ron.
what's the recommendation of the chairman of the personnel committee? That would be you, Mark. I mean,
Well, I would only point out that I think we have strayed from the actual use of 13.2. I believe that 13.2 is for urgent and emergent situations, 1 or 2. Not in a sense of using it as a vehicle to shoehorn things in so we get into the next meeting. We met on Tuesday, the meeting's on Wednesday, we'll put them on 13.2. The danger of that is that if you are not at the personnel meeting, and then you would be a legislator that didn't have appropriate time to review the paperwork that goes along with it and ask the appropriate questions if you wish. What might be better is on many of these that it would have been held over for the next meeting, even though we have a meeting the next day, that it would be handed over to the next meeting, if it's not emergent, if it's not urgent. Now, the issue for tonight would be, for Kim, I guess, is which of these 13.2 we have in there that we could pull out and do next time that aren't emergent or urgent. I hate to make a mistake that something wasn't posted, or we couldn't get it posted in time, or we were gonna miss out on a grant, trying to know what was on. I mean, I hate to put Kim on the spot. I think Legislator Hall makes a good point, and I agree with it. And Simon's correct as well. So I guess my recommendation is that if we can practically, in a very short amount of time, cull the 13.2s that we could act upon tonight, if it's the wish of the legislature. I mean, you guys can vote on
Sounds great to me.
to postpone. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, I'm pretty uncomfortable because there were some uncomfortable conversations that night, and I'm just worried that something will be pulled that wasn't approved of, so I'm curious which ones you guys would like to pull.
Well, let's just vote on each one and decide. If we have a motion, let's decide if we have a motion for each resolution. We have to do that anyway. See if each resolution actually has a motion.
Oh, we do? Is there any further? Yes. Cal?
I think we should vote on them. I don't see handing this to Kim. That's, you know, if there's some that you're not comfortable with, just speak up, and we bring up that one, and just, we can decide in that individual one. If you as a legislator are uncomfortable in any of them, speak up.
Yeah, we can do that as
You know,
well. Let's have a
because
discussion.
doing it by poll is not gonna accomplish anything, because we can't get any back and forth on that. So you put it out on a piece of paper and say, this is coming up, if you're opposed to it, speak up, you know, so there's no back and forth of doing it by a poll over the internet. You know,
I would say in essence, we're asking for discussion on each one of the resolutions under personnel, just so we all have a chance to quickly get an update on each one. Just not go through them too quick, basically, so we can all understand them, if that's okay.
So, am I correct in assuming that you want to vote on just all of the 13.2s, whether we're gonna do that or not, or go to the 13.2s and do them?
I
don't know, do we have 13.2s? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
All
Resolutions
that
408
all the personnel
through
is
434 are all,
13.
it's
There's like,
13.
there's like 30 of them.
Which means they happened recently and then at a time.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yes, ma'am.
I have an
Certainly.
executive session prior to voting on the 13.2.
I don't mind
I
speaking
don't know why
about it.
not, if the legislature's good with that.
Absolutely.
Okay, we can do that. That's a good idea. Excellent.
Thank you.
All right,
That's why we miss you.
That's nice.
you're amenable to that, everybody's okay with that then? Okay. You were complete with your report then? Public Safety, Legislator Castle.
Yes, and before I start, I just want to point out something on the roll call for who's here. I'm the only one who says present, so I looked it up on the internet to see what's proper. And they said if you went to a Catholic school, chances are you say present. So, I'm not trying to contradict the rest of you, but that's the way I was taught, and that's the way I will continue.
Well, with all due respect, I went to St. John's in Sea, and the reason I don't say present is because they forced us to for all those years. St. Peter's.
Anyhow, Public Safety Committee met on Monday, June 7th. Justin Meyer, the Administrator of Indigent Defense, Eric Day, the Director of Emergency Services, David Marco, the Probation Director, and Jamie Rock, the Administrative Assistant at Child Advocacy Center, were present. Andy Wiley, the District Attorney, was also present to discuss the Traffic Diversion Program correspondence from Champlain Judge John Triller. Resolutions 391 through 400 have been placed on the agenda upon the recommendations of the committee, as well as Resolution 434 on the waive 13.2. Resolution 399 has been withdrawn. Public Safety Committee meeting, next Public Safety Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, July 8th at 5 p.m. and end of report.
Thank you, yes, sir.
On a similar note to the last, on a similar note on this committee, the resolution that's being brought forward by the District Attorney's Office, I don't believe we had adequate time to talk about that, and I'm not prepared to vote on that tonight. I am prepared to discuss it if you want to discuss it. I just don't want to fly through it, that's all. It was part of that rushed meeting, is all I'm saying.
Are you talking about 391 through 400 or?
The one for the typist?
It's personnel.
Right, I mean, it's personnel, but it's also.
Is that in 13? Well, we'll discuss that when we get to executive session. Anything further, Mr. Castle? Okay. Transportation Committee, Legislator Kressler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Transportation Committee has not met since the last regular session. The committee was polled on resolution number 401 as well as resolution number 433 under waive rule 13.2, and both have been placed on the agenda upon recommendation of the committee. The next Transportation Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, June 14th at 5:15 p.m. End of report.
Thank you very much. Liaison reports, we will run through those rather quickly. Chamber of Commerce, Legislative Body.
No report.
Cooperative Extension, Legislative Timmons.
No report. We'll meet next Tuesday.
Discipline Review has nothing, that's correct. Grievance also nothing, correct. Intercounty, Legislative Walton.
Actually, I'm very excited to report that we have finalized the details of our Clinton County inter-county meeting of the Adirondacks, and we will be meeting, so please, legislators, mark this on your calendars, June 24th at the Black Brook Country Store from 10 to 10:30 for donuts. And then we'll be going over to Chris McGill hydro plant in Black Brook for our presentation, and then we will be having lunch at Douglas's Campground in Silver Lake,
What was it, Lee?
June 24th.
Will you send out a reminder?
Yeah,
With all the
actually,
details, please?
you'll all get, I'm
Thank you.
just kind of forwarding it now, so you can all, it starts at 10, meeting at the Black Brook General Store.
10:30.
10 to 10:30. You'll have details coming.
Okay, thank you. Any further on that? LC&LG, Regional Planning Board, Legislators Kretzer and or Hughes.
No report.
You agree with that, Legislator?
I do.
Just checking.
Thank
Make
you.
sure. Soil and Water, Legislative Parade Dennis.
We meet next Thursday the 17th, but there will be a tire roundup at the Saranac Highway Garage tomorrow. If anybody has any tires, they can probably show up at the end of the day, but it wouldn't hurt to give the Soil and Water office a call ahead of time.
But we can show up.
Has this been advertised at all? Outside of
They do advertise it, yeah, I'm not sure where Pete advertises it on.
I didn't
but-
see anything outside of hearing it at the meeting. I don't know if anybody else has heard anything out in the public, but I certainly haven't.
There was one at Plattsburgh and one tomorrow in Saranac, and they're trying to do one, I guess, in Peru, but they haven't heard back from the supervisor yet.
And last year, they were very well notified, and people really took part in them, but this year, whoever's supposed to be notifying people certainly hasn't done it. And outside, if I didn't come here, I wouldn't know a darn thing about it.
I'll check with Pete and see where he's advertising them.
I did have one. I had a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to do a CSB report before you get through this.
A which report?
On the Community Services Board.
Just hold on that till we get through here. Supreme Court Library, as a matter of fact, I had a quick meeting this morning at 8:45. Judge Bruno chaired the meeting for the Supreme Court Library, and we discussed the existing law library and the kiosks. Nothing major came out of that, but we did meet and we did discuss the Supreme Court Library and kiosks. Workforce Development Board, no report. Staff members have a report. Ms. Keller.
Yes, I would like to request an executive session at the end to review a matter regarding real property and legal advice, and I would also like to request that we do an executive session before we decide whether or not to waive Rule 13.2, just to discuss some procedural issues.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kendall.
Yeah, just a brief update. So you got me tonight. Mike is at a NISAC Board of Directors meeting, but just an update that Mike and I attend every Zoom meeting and conference call, read every article that comes up from NISAC and NACO regarding the details of the Federal American Rescue funding that we've partially received. It's very cumbersome, so we're really trying to navigate through all of the details and hope to provide you an update in the next month or so.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, we'll move to the resolutions. Before voting on, yes, sir.
Can I just do an update on the CSB, Community Services Board?
A copy of,
Can I give an update on the Community Services Board, of which I used to be the liaison?
on just the Supreme Court Library?
The Community Services Board, the CSB. The organization that I used to be the liaison to, Michelle Gregory, is the chair.
Yeah, it's yours.
Okay. There's no report on the Community Service Board right now.
I wanted to give a report.
You want to hear a report?
I wanted to give one.
Okay, but I don't have one.
No, I wanted to give one.
Oh, you go ahead.
Thank you.
It's mine, but go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know it's.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that for 5 years I sat on the Community Services Board as the liaison from the county to the board, and they've been working for many years to find a solution to a problem, and they recently have found it, and it is the new position that is being proposed out of Mental Health and Addiction by Michelle Gregory to have a new county position that will be called the Community Services Coordinator. She's working with all branches of law enforcement, all branches of mental health, addiction. She's working with everybody over the past 5 years to create this position, and she's also eliminated a couple of positions in the department to make room for it, so there's no additional cost. And it's, I think, a good culmination of a lot of work, and I'm excited to have a discussion about the new position in the upcoming personnel meeting.
Okay. Resolutions. Before voting on the resolutions, I want to note that the majority of the resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committees, and the legislature is taking action tonight based in large part on the recommendation of those committees. Ms. Tinbaum, would you please read the titles of the resolutions to be acted upon.
Resolution 366, approving appointment to the Clinton County Youth Board, Youth Bureau.
5-5, Mr. Proctor? Yes. 5-5. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 367, authorizing various contracts, Youth Bureau.
Motion legislator Potiker, second legislator Kratzer. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 368, authorizing contract with Behavioral Health Services North Incorporated, Social Services.
Motion legislator Potiker, second legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Resolution 369, authorizing contract with Joint Council for Economic Opportunities, Social Services.
Motion legislator Potiker, second legislator Waldron. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Resolution 370, authorizing lease agreement with North Country Workforce Partnership Incorporated, employment and training.
Chairman, I'd like to abstain from this vote.
Yes, sir. Motion legislator Potiker, second legislator Perrier. Please note legislator Kretzer is asked to abstain. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 371, authorizing contract with Friends of the North Country, Social Services.
Motion legislator Potiker, second legislator Waldron. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 372, authorizing the legislative office to apply for the 2021-2022 snowmobile grant trail program grant funding, legislature.
Motion legislator Waldron, second legislator Castine. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 373, authorizing the clerk of the Clinton County Legislature to advertise for a public hearing regarding the grant application to be submitted to the New York State Office of Housing and Community Renewal Planning Department.
Motion legislator Waldron, second legislator Hughes. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 374 has been withdrawn. Resolution 375, authorizing adoption of Clinton County Information Technology Policy, Information Technology.
Motion legislator Waldron, second legislator Timmons. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 376, authorizing memorandum of understanding with the North Country Care Coordination Collaborative Mental Health and Addiction.
Motion legislator Hughes, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 377, authorizing Operation Lighter, Quicker, Cheaper Grant Acceptance, Mental Health and Addiction Services.
Motion legislator Hughes, second legislator Kretzer. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 378, authorizing memorandum of understanding with Outside Art, Mental Health and Addiction.
Motion legislator Hughes, second legislator Waldron. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 379, authorizing creating healthy schools and communities grant acceptance, Health Department.
Motion legislator Hughes, second legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 380, authorizing COVID-19 ELC school funding grant application and acceptance, Health Department.
Motion legislator Hughes, second legislator Kretzer. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 381, authorizing payment of membership dues, nursing home.
Motion legislator Perrier, second legislator Conroy. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 382, authorizing contract with Leading Gauge New York ProCare LLC, nursing home.
Motion legislator Perrier, second legislator Hughes. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 383, authorizing payment of membership dues, Office for the Aging.
Motion legislator Perrier, second legislator Kretzer. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 384, authorizing American Rescue Plan grant application and acceptance, Office for the Aging.
Motion legislator Perrier, second legislator Conroy. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 385, authorizing ADRC NWD COVID-19 vaccine access grant application and acceptance, Office for the Aging.
Motion, legislator Perrier, second, legislator Hughes. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 386, authorizing expanding access to COVID-19 vaccines via the Aging Network grant application and acceptance, Office for the Aging.
Motion, legislator Perrier, second, legislator Kretzer. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 387, authorizing memorandum of understanding for the Clinton County Health Department, Office for the Aging.
Motion, legislator Perrier, second, legislator Conroy. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 388, authorizing contract amendment with North Country Home Services Incorporated, Office for the Aging.
Motion, legislator Perrier, second, legislator Hughes. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 389, authorizing supplemental lease agreement number 9 with the United States of America General Services Administration, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Hall, second, legislator Hughes. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 390, authorizing supplemental lease agreement number 10 with the United States of America General Services Administration, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Hall, second, legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 391, authorizing the purchasing agent to solicit bids for heat exchangers and installation service for rooftop heating, ventilation, and air conditioning units, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Hall. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 392, authorizing contract with Thompson Reuters, assigned counsel.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 393, awarding request for qualifications for family court legal services, assigned counsel.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Boddicker. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 394, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the district attorney's state seizure revenue, district attorney.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Waldron. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 395, authorizing contract with New York State Office of Children and Family Services grant acceptance, district attorney's child advocacy center.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Hall. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 396, authorizing You First Federal Credit Union application and acceptance, district attorney child advocacy center.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Hall. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 397, authorizing amendment to memorandum of understanding with Clinton County Mental Health and Addiction Services, district attorney child advocacy center.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Perrier. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Resolution 398, authorizing fiscal year 2021 state homeland security grant application and acceptance, emergency services.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Boddicker. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution number 399 has been withdrawn. Resolution 400, authorizing contract with Central Square Technologies, emergency services.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Waldron. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 401 has also been withdrawn. Resolution 402, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the election cybersecurity remediation grant program, Board of Elections.
Motion, legislator Timmons. Second, legislator Waldron. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 403, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for lighter, quicker, cheaper grant, District Attorney's Office Child Advocacy Center.
Motion, legislator Timmons. Second, legislator Castine. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 404, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Workforce Investment Act grant, employment and training.
Motion, legislator Timmons. Second, legislator Hughes. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 405, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the fiscal year 2019 cybersecurity grant program, information technology.
Motion, legislator Timmons. Second, legislator Waldron. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 406, authorizing the county treasurer to establish appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Creating Healthy Schools and Communities grant, Health Department.
Motion, legislator Timmons. Second, legislator Hughes. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Perrier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Resolution 407, commending Maurice Racine, MD, on 40 years of serving a community family physician.
5-5, Mr. Castine. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Opposed? Opposed, I'm sorry, I said opposed. Carried.
I think,
Yes.
motion to go to executive session. I have one question first.
Okay.
Possible about the health committee. As long as we have Mr. Penosi here, I was curious, I was at the health committee meeting and you discussed, a new grant that's coming in. Were these positions, were these resolutions related to that? Did we just approve it? Or is that something in the future?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
what they are in here.
So that's all approved and good to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes, that is
So you
correct,
got
yeah.
You got your 2.5 positions?
Yes,
Good.
yes, and I'm very grateful for.
Congratulations.
Thank
Well,
you
we
very
gotta
much.
pass it first.
We gotta pass it first.
Oh, why? It's in the wave, the wave's under the
Right,
wave?
yes.
Oh, it's part of the wave. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was one that was already in the. No. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, wave 13.2, may I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss? I have a motion from legislator Cresser, second from legislator Hughes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We're in executive session. All except legislators. And Jackie. You ready, Mr. Hughes? You get them all?
You're coming.
Okay.
They're coming.
Okay.
Couldn't leave anyways.
Damn, you look at this, Sam.
That's not a nice car.
Okay, can I have a motion to waive 13.2?
Motion.
I have a motion, may I have a second? I have a motion by legislator Hughes, a second by somebody.
Wendell.
Okay, second by legislator Hughes.
Who was,
Who
I'm sorry.
who moved it?
I moved it, but I'll pass it back to Patty because she really moved it.
Yeah, that's fine, either or, but I don't care as long as it got moved.
We have a motion to second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 13.2.
Resolution 408, approving reclassification of a permanent full-time assessment control examiner position up to a senior assessment control examiner position, real property.
I have a motion by legislator Castine, second by legislator Hall. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 409, approving backfill of a permanent full-time caseworker position, PCN 2480, social services.
Motion, legislator Hall, second legislator Timmons. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 410, approving backfill of a permanent full-time principal social welfare examiner position, PCN 2572, social services.
Motion by legislator Timmons, second legislator Waldron. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 411, approving backfill of a permanent full-time deputy commissioner position, PCN 2156, Board of
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 412, approving backfill of a permanent full-time election specialist position, PCN 2158, Board of Elections.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Hall. Discussion.
I have a question. I'm sorry, I wasn't at this meeting. I'm not sure why we have three. Is it because the election's coming up and we're preparing, or does anybody know? Ken?
This backfills.
This,
I understand it's backfills, but to me, every backfill in the county is an FTE. And if we don't need someone in a job, then we don't want to put them there. So I just see three, and I didn't know if it's because there's an election coming up and is this standard, or are we kind of refilling post-COVID, or is this just refilling people that retired, or what are these positions?
this is because everybody moved up.
Somebody resigned.
Okay,
Yeah,
all three are
retirement.
all three are the result of one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Age of change is usually what they.
I just wasn't at the meeting.
Exactly. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
You want 413?
Yep.
Okay. Resolution 413, approving backfill of a permanent full-time election specialist position, PCN 2155, Board of Elections.
Motion, legislator Hall, second, legislator Timmons. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 414, approving backfill of a permanent part-time account clerk typist position, PCN 2209, Mental Health and Addiction Services.
Motion, legislator Timmons, second, legislator Waldron. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 415, approving reclassification of a permanent full-time social worker 1 position to a permanent full-time mental health clinician 1 position with backfill, PCN 2218, Mental Health and Addiction.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Castine. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 416, approving backfill of a permanent full-time social worker 1 position, PCN 3778, Mental Health and Addiction Services.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Hall. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 417, approving backfill of a permanent full-time court referral specialist position, PCN 3445, Probation Department.
Motion, legislator Hall, second, legislator Timmons. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 418, approving backfill of a permanent full-time principal public health educator position, PCN 3358, Health Department.
Motion, legislator Timmons, second, legislator Waldron. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 419, approving creation of a permanent part-time program assistant position, PCN to be determined, Health Department.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Castine. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 420, approving creation of a permanent full-time public health educator position, Health Department.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Hall. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 421, approving creation of a permanent full-time planning technician position, Health Department.
Motion, legislator Hall, second, legislator Timmons. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 422, approving backfill of a permanent full-time nurse's aide position, PCN 2634, nursing home.
Motion, legislator Timmons, second, legislator Waldron. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 423, approving backfill of a permanent full-time nurse's aide position, PCN 2649, nursing home.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Castine. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 424, approving backfill of a permanent full-time senior account clerk typist position, PCN 3557, nursing home.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Hall. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 425, approving backfill of a permanent full-time senior account clerk typist position, PCN 2714, nursing home.
Motion, legislator Hall. Second, legislator Timmons. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 426, approving reclassification of a permanent full-time motor equipment operator 3 down to a motor equipment operator 2 position with backfill, PCN 2266, solid waste.
Motion, legislator Timmons. Second, legislator Waldron. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 427, approving backfill of a permanent part-time typist position, PCN 4198, District Attorney's Office.
Motion, legislator Waldron. Second, legislator Castine. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question on this one.
Yes?
At this meeting, this was the public safety meeting, I forgot, or the personnel meeting?
Well, I think it was in public safety, and then came to personnel as well. So
But did,
both.
Kim, do you remember when the DA came to us, was that the public safety committee, or was that
It was
the?
both, he attended both. He
Well,
attended
Well, I don't
personnel for
want to
this.
speak out of executive session. All I can say is we're talking about a position here which is approving backfill of a permanent part-time typist position at the DA's office. And I can't remember when we asked if why we need this position, he gave us an answer, but I don't know if I can say that publicly. Was that in personnel, or was that in public safety?
Personnel.
So I don't know what to do. This is one that we need to talk about more. That's what I would say.
Any further discussion?
I would request to please table this item so we can discuss it more.
Any further discussion?
Make a motion, do I have a second? Okay, so I would like to, before everyone votes on this, I would like to make it very clear that we should not just be funding positions without finding out why the position is needed. And this particular position, I do not believe we were given any reason why it's needed other than maybe it would reduce the work of some lawyers doing paperwork.
Actually, not to speak for the district attorney, but the district attorney was saying that now that things have started to loosen up with COVID, that was there previous to this. COVID struck, everything kind of slowed down. Now with that going away, or relatively speaking, not going away, then business is starting to increase, and the district attorney said that he would need this position.
I understand that, but usually the way business works, when you realize someone hasn't been in a position for a while, and you can still do the job when the person's not in the position.
Legislator Timmons has
You
the
don't
floor.
need to rehire the position.
Legislator Timmons has the
Well, I
floor.
hope you give me another chance to speak.
Go ahead. I will.
I can
If somebody
say
else
that
had
It wouldn't be the
changed.
first time.
The
Go ahead, Rob.
information that was brought and said at the meeting that night was basically the same reason why the probation was asking for the other position back, is because things are starting to get busier and they need the people that they didn't need during COVID, and now it's necessary, is what was brought up at committee. I'm not sure what you didn't hear or what you missed
I
that
can
part.
say his exact words, I just don't know if that was the executive session, because I can't remember if it was in public safety or if it was in personnel. I'm sorry, apparently he spoke at both, is that true? Okay, so, I'm sorry, I'm just saying, this is funding a position the DA says that he needs so that his lawyers don't have to do as much paperwork, because they've been doing too much paperwork. But what I find is that when you're running a business or anything, when times get tight, you kick out a few people and you run the system, and if you can still run it like that, keep running it like that. That's what we're supposed to be doing as a government. Don't just fill every backfill. Disgusting.
Anything further? Yes, sir.
Just run this by me, I probably know somebody. What is a permanent part-time typist?
Like
Is
what
it
is the
permanent or
typist?
part-time?
You're a permanent position, so you're not temporary, your position stays permanently, but it's a part-time job, you work half the normal work week, which is 17 and a half hours a week.
So the permanent is for the,
Permanent is a classification through civil service, but it's a permanent status. So the person can only be removed if they go through section 75, which is civil service, or if there's a layoff, they can't just let them go.
they get all the perks?
They get a part-time benefit package, which is negotiated in the contract.
Okay.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion that we do not move this under Rule 13.2, but table it for a later date so we can discuss it better, so we actually know what we're voting on.
I have a motion, any second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I'm opposed.
Yep. Resolution 428, approving backfill of a permanent full-time correction officer position, PCN 3500, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, legislator Castine, second legislator Hall, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 429, approving backfill of a permanent full-time correction officer position, PCN 3611, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, legislator Hall, second legislator Timmons, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 430, approving backfill of a permanent full-time correction officer position, PCN 3800, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, legislator Timmons, second legislator Waldron, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 431, approving backfill of a permanent full-time correction officer position, PCN 3773, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second legislator Castine, discussion.
I'd like to make a point on this, please. Can I please say something?
You can, yes.
Okay. We just moved and approved 3 backfills for COs at the county jail. During the course of the past year or two, we've had bail reform, therefore the jail is at about 150 inmates instead of 300. Roughly 80 COs are required to run it at 300, and I do believe that currently we're around 66, and this keeps us around 66 COs. I believe the COs work very hard and are often overworked and underpaid, but I do not believe that we should be moving 5 permanent full-time correction officers at a time when our county jail is half empty, and when counties are starting to fund mental health and addiction services more as part of law enforcement reform. So I think the following 2 resolutions, 431 and 432, should be discussed at a further time. And if we don't decide to do that, we can discuss it now and vote on them. But I would ask for that, and I would also like to say that I think rather than hire 5 COs, I would hire 3 COs and then propose that we all sit down and talk about paying our COs better, and we talk about having better benefits so that we don't constantly lose COs to the state system. Find ways that we can make the county more attractive, just like we need to do it in the nursing home, just like we have to do it everywhere. So I'm okay with moving 3 of these and voting yes on them. The other 2, I would ask that we either discuss them more or discuss them at a later date.
To address the concerns for those that might not know, I think that was touched upon by the undersheriff. The number of slots of corrections officers are determined by the state, by the posts that are at the facility. It's not necessarily the number of inmates there. It's the number of posts that are required for the number of inmates. Just for example, if you have 1 person that needs to be driven in a van, that requires 1 person. If there's 5 people in that van, that still requires 1 person, or two people, or whatever. So you have the posts. Right now, it is my understanding that the Sheriff's Department is minimally staffed. In fact, with some of the resignations or retirements or whatever, I believe it's I don't want to say below that, but it's down from where it was, and so this would keep it at minimum staffing or maybe a little above. So it's not just based on the number of inmates you have.
Can I just
I also
respond to
believe
that?
he also said that they were gonna be doing another state evaluation, and at that point, we would determine whether we could drop the number of COs that we have, or if they decide not, then not, but
Well,
that's
yes,
what was in the meeting.
Right.
We could always just do nothing and wait and see what the state tells us to do, but the fact is, the state says If you want to have 300 inmates, you have to have 83 COs. And now we only have 150 inmates because of bail reform.
It's not,
We
but
have-
it's not based
Can I
on the
please
number of
finish, can I please
inmates.
finish speaking, sir? Do I have the floor?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. All I'm saying is we have 66 COs. I don't think that's a bad thing. We'd go down to 60 if we pass all, or if we don't pass these. I'm saying keep it about the same. But before you pass all of them, let's talk about it, because the last time you should be blindly filling these positions is when the numbers at the jail are going down, and it's very hard to even hire COs right now because we're not paying very much. And all kinds of money from government is being pumped into rehabilitating people through crisis trauma, mental health and addiction services, job training. So right now society is working to try and get people beyond jail, alternatives to incarceration. So it's not the time to be putting more COs in the jail, it's the time to be putting more services like Rochelle Gregory's bringing up to connect law enforcement with providers. That's all I'm saying.
Legislator Kretzer.
Just a point of clarification, if I understand correctly, we're mandated to have a certain number of COs, and by approving these positions, it will get us to the level of that mandate?
No.
Or
So
closer?
that's incorrect.
So closer to that level of?
Closer.
So we
It's
still,
based on close.
okay, so then we're still trying to get to the mandated levels of
Right.
employment, and these 5 will get us closer to that point.
That's it. The other thing that was explained to me is that, I hate talking for the sheriff because I'm not an expert on it. But the other thing is, they're minimally staffed right now. We want to keep it minimally staffed. It really doesn't have to do so much with the number of inmates. That staffing is what could happen. Because, let's say you had 100 in there today, and you said, okay, we don't need 66, we need 35. But tomorrow you could have 200 come in for whatever is. And you can't just go out on the street to get people in, hey, come on in today, and watch this. You need trained people on staff to be able to handle what your facility might handle. Yes, ma'am?
Yeah, and if I could just provide a little more information, I've been working with the sheriff on the staffing levels at the jail for a long time. The dorms, which house a lot of inmates, don't have a lot of staff, and those are where many of the inmates are no longer, incarcerated individuals are no longer there. You know, in the jail pods, where people are locked in the cells, that's a much more labor-intensive type of work. So to hear that the jail numbers have reduced by half, that doesn't reduce at all by half of the posts. Most of the posts are still there, simply because the incarcerated individuals in the dorms are the people who are no longer there, and that was, like I said, very low staffing levels.
Thank you.
Any further?
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Oh, I just wanted to make it very clear to everyone that this is not so I want everyone to just, and I want to take a minute to talk about this because this is important.
Do you have a motion to make?
No,
Now would be the time to make a motion.
I thought we're discussing this.
Do you have a motion to make?
I have a motion to discuss this resolution further because I feel that the legislature is voting on it without understanding the facts, and they're being misled to believe
Right.
the jail functions the same when it's half empty as it does when it's full. If you go to Albany County, they put a block wall down the middle of their jail, and half of it is a jail, the other half is a rehabilitation center. The future is happening, and you guys are gonna say, let's sit around and wait for the state to tell us what to do. What to do is don't overly staff a department that's being reduced. Staff a department that's growing.
We get that. Do you have a motion to make?
I have a motion to, I guess everyone's had their discussion, so they can vote. It's fine.
Is there a second?
There's no motion.
For resolution 431, that's where we're at, right? Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 432, approving backfill of a permanent full-time correction officer position, PCN 3663, Sheriff's Department.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Hall. Discussion. Yes, sir.
I'm curious if any legislators in the room know what the starting pay is for a correction officer in Clinton County? Or do they know what it is at Stewart's? Anybody? Okay, then I don't know why you're voting on this.
Anything else?
They make the same. Our COs make the same pay as starting at Stewart's, $16.50 an hour. They're not paid much. The problem isn't that we need more COs. The problem is that we need our current COs to be paid better and treated better so they enjoy their job and they rehabilitate our community.
Any further questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Carried.
Resolution 433, amending Resolution 355 dated May 26, 2021, titled Authorizing Supplemental Agreement Number 1 with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated for rehabilitation of the Main Street Keysville Bridge over Otsego River. Bridge identification number 3359920, Highway Department.
Motion, legislator Kratzer. Second, legislator Hughes. Discussion? Roll call. That's a roll call.
Yeah, because there's money attached.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Courier?
Second,
I'm sorry, what was that?
is that the second, please?
Did you say a second?
No.
No. I said discussion. Roll call.
I know, I'm trying to read some of this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, give me a little, history on this resolution.
Well, I mean, I can give you some information if you want. So this was a contract with Stantec. Originally, when Carl presented it to the Transportation Committee, 80% of the funds were federal funds and 15% were Marchielli, I know I'm saying that wrong, funds, which is state funds, and 5% was county funds, because Carl believed that the Marchielli funds had already been established and assigned. He's now saying that they are not yet assigned, the state Marchielli funds. They are coming, but they're not yet assigned, so we had to change the resolution to amend it, so it's 20%.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, anything further? Roll call.
Mr. Courier?
Yeah.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 434, authorizing contract with NCC Systems Incorporated, Probation Department.
Motion, legislator Castine. Second, legislator Hall. Discussion? Yes, sir.
I'm curious if anybody in the legislature knows what NCC Systems is and where we're getting the money to pay them their $3,500 and why we're doing it.
This is the security system, the internet-based security system. It's $2,500 is the contract, and the ATI reserve pays for all of this, so there's
I
no
thought this
county
was the
funding.
door locking thing that it wouldn't accept on the other computer.
Are you talking about what David Randall spoke about
I'm talking
today?
about the system that locks the doors. We bought the software, we run it, and then we want to update the system, and they won't let us move it from computer to computer.
No.
One in probation. Is that what this is?
I'm not sure.
It is a door access control
That's
system.
correct.
So let me just explain, because I was there when he explained it, and I was shocked that we paid this money. I used to run a store, and if this happened, you would never do what we're doing. We got equipment to lock doors, so it's easy, we use it, and then we go to upgrade, and they say you can't move it off one computer, and we say, okay, we'll give you $2,500 to fix it. I would say, we already paid you to do this system, we didn't realize we couldn't move it computer to computer. Either help us out, or we're gonna switch to someone else.
Any further discussion on that? Roll call.
Mr. Courier?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
I'm opposed. It should be a resolution, correct?
Yes.
I'm opposed to that, because
Anybody have anything further to come before the legislature before we go into executive session? Okay, I think I'll entertain a motion for executive session. So, I have all kinds of reasons. I've got a motion by legislator Hall, and a second by any of the three over there. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, we are in executive session. Anything further to come before the legislature? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion from Legislator Conacher, a second from Legislator Hughes. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?